Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM. And if you're enjoying what you're seeing on the channel at the moment, how about giving this video a like and maybe subscribing to the channel to help us grow. As you can see, I'm sat back in Atlas because I think it's become quite apparent we need to have a sit down talk about batteries and battery safety. But first, let's revisit this battery box itself. Now you'll probably remember that I broke this down into 3 banks of 12 volts with a couple of left over. And it has been on charge almost continuously since that video. And as you'll see on this charger here, it is flashing 12.6 volts. But when I go onto ampage, without it on and charging, it thinks there is 0 amps. And it also thinks that it is at 29% capacity. Now I appreciate these chargers are not designed for these. Fully understand that. However, the fact it's been on charge for that long and that all of the other chargers, including this one, are still trying to charge them and don't think they've reached their full capacity, probably goes that they're not quite right. So, that being the case, I think it's time to take the batteries off and assume that they're as full as they're going to get and leave it alone. But first, a quick break to talk about our sponsor. Now, as you probably guessed by now, I'm not very good at fixing the kind of stuff that you see behind me. I'm more attuned to working with Steam, and I'm far worse at working on things like this. So you'd have thought that making my own game would have been something of a challenge, but it's not. Thanks to Yaha Studios, a brand new user-generated content creation platform for 3D interactive multiplayer experiences. Try saying that 3 times fast. Let me show you how it works. So today I'm going to be showing you how easy it is to make a hide and seek game in here. First up, we need to click on the template. So this is the map for the hide and seek game, and as you can see it's all fairly easy to move around. So we're going to go here where there's a bit of open space, and this is also where we spawn. I'm going to take you through adding something into the game which when you walk into it you'll transform into it. So we go to the asset library, and up here we will search for behavior, there we go, player transformation. That's what we're looking for. Now I've already downloaded it, but you'd have to click there. So we're actually going to go over to my assets where it's appeared down there. Then we're going to go look for something else. So we'll have a look for components or models over here. And I quite fancy this little yellow car. So we're going to do that, view in the scene, and that appears here. So we can click on that and position it where we want to, like so. Place that there. And then all we have to do is click up on this option down here, on the little button here next door to component, add community component, and then we will have the behavior, so player transformation. So that's now been added to that car there. So when we go up here and press the play test, there we go, this is me. All we have to do is walk into this and the transformation happens and we become a submarine car that's driving inside the floor. And that really is it. It is just that simple. So think with a bit of time and effort how many different things you could put in this game that you can transform into to hide from other players in. So if you think, actually this looks like something that I could do and I fancy having a go at, how about scanning this QR code and start creating your dream games in Yamaha for free. Now on to what we need to talk about, battery safety. It's important never to do that, because that could be bad. Now this one I know for 2 facts is safe to do that. Firstly, I've tested it with the multimeter and it is completely foobarred, and it's also the one with the broken terminal. It does nothing. Furthermore, on this one, these are plastic caps. They are pretty good at insulating this away from that. That whole battery pack is meant to have the plastic caps on them. The battery sat down here, however, both of them are broken, so I don't have those. And this cell has not been charged. And if I turn my multimeter on, I can actually get a reading out of this one of currently about 1.8 volts. So that cell is actually not bad and can go back in. This one is completely knackered. Now, before, when I tried that battery pack, the majority of it was dead. There was very little charge left in it. Now that it has got charge in it again, having been charged on, admittedly not as much charge as I'd like, I'm going to be a lot more careful with it, as suddenly it's got some potential in it. With these things, They are quite heavy and it's important not to pick them up, throw them around, or try to disturb them too much. They are at this point quite old and not as durable as they once were. Now, to justify what I'm talking about a little bit more, if I unscrew this terminal here, we can see that the metal part is hidden away. We can see the thread there which goes down into the battery, and there is a tiny little bit there and there for one of the connecting tabs, which is insulated the whole way around to sit into. It means that working around this pack should, and I stress, should be relatively safe. And this is the assumption that I was going with, that to actually charge the things, from experience, by breaking them up into a smaller bank is quite difficult. You've got to get the clamp of your battery charger into exactly the right place, otherwise it won't work. However, it is important when moving these and dealing with these to be careful with what you're doing with your tools. Now that pack has got some charge in it, I am going nowhere near it and leaving anything near it. It will be a much more gentle and careful procedure. Putting that all back into a single pack will involve being quite gentle. Now, obviously I jest, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I am genuinely very careful with these things because they scare the bejeebus out of me, particularly an old set like this, which bubbles and gurgles, and it very much lets you know that it's active. I'm used to car batteries that sit there quite happy and quite inert, whereas this really gives you the sensation that it is a living thing, which is quite alarming, to be honest. So I have taken a lot of care, particularly now it is charged, but I do want to thank everyone who will put a comment giving me warnings, saying what I should not and should do. Believe it or not, I do act with some level of care, and I was pretty damn sure that A, these bits here which are insulated were going to hold up, and B, that the whole thing was pretty dead. However, lesson learnt, and I will make sure to take a lot more care in the future. But again, thank you all for your comments. I'm also very aware of the damage a battery can do if it's mistreated, having watched a gentleman once upon a time at a railway hit a contact over the terminal with a hammer until the battery had had enough and exploded, which was pretty awful. So when I say I have an appreciation for this stuff, I really do. I genuinely fear this stuff. Shall we see now though what has actually happened? So I've got the multimeter here. We'll put the positive into there and we'll attach it to this here. So this should be a bank of 24 volts. And if we can get that to connect, we get 25 volts. So that one's slightly overcharged. And then this one here, we'll put the negative onto there and positive onto that one. And that gives us a grand total of 12.5. So the banks I've charged have actually, and are still at the voltage they should be. They may not be at the amperage that they're meant to be, but they are kind of there. So with that, I mean, the next logical thing to do is to plug it all back together and see how long it will actually run Atlas for. This time I took a bit more time and care with what I was doing, with the idea being to rebuild all of this into one continuously working pack. I also took the opportunity to move a couple of the cells where both of the plastic covers on the terminals had broken to make sure that there were never two side by side to try and eliminate any chance of shorting things out. Just listening to what you guys said and being a bit safer. Now, something else that several of you guys pointed out was maybe the batteries should be filled up with deionized water or maybe acid. And the truth is, this has been done several times because they do seem to boil themselves dry. So they have been topped up since I've got it several times, including having more acid. Now, I'm not entirely sure how you're meant to check the level of the acid. Is it they gauge the hydrometer? Is that meant to be how you test the solution? If it's wrong, do you add more acid? And is there any way I can make these work? Should I drain them all? Put something in them, clean them out, put them back together? Does that work? I literally have no idea, so let us know in the comments. The interesting thing is, now I've created that new bank, the last bank, and put it on charge. When I tested it with the voltmeter, it was coming up at 11 volts. Now this is interesting because when I tested the whole pack beforehand, I had nothing across it, about 0.1 of a volt. So that probably means a lot of my problem is dodgy cell here, the one that with the terminal which is coming out. So I don't know how good that is. What we'll probably end up doing is taking each battery out after they've had a good charge and see what each one is holding, and then put it into the tug, take it out for a drive, and we'll see what it will do. Let us know any hints and tips of what you think we can do with that. Who knows, maybe that'll have enough charge in it to keep this thing going. And of course, let us know if I can still plug it in even though I'm 2 volts short. Will my big old charger there be able to cope with that, or will it do something wrong? I personally don't know, but let us know. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this one, how about clicking somewhere over there for the video that sparked this one, and over there for another video featuring the little red thing over here. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. And hopefully next time we'll get this moving again. See you later.